weekend, the final weekend of the regular season. Frank Martin, John Calipari. Both have described this as the most frustrating season for both ever in their coaching careers. We welcome you to Saturday Showcase, presented by 5 Hour Energy, as you are watching the SEC on ESPN. 3 times the Gamecocks have been interrupted by COVID. The win-loss record not what they want, and Kentucky, the worst regular season in the opinion of many in their history. November, they were ranked. December, they lost to Louisville. They went 1-6. 3-game win streak, and all of a sudden the optimism was high in January. In February, they lost 7 of 8 games, including a heartbreaker to Arkansas. They've been in so many of their games. A 70-55 win against Tennessee. And then March 10th will begin the SEC tournament. All sorts of optimism even late in the season. A 3-game winning streak which went out the window after losses to Florida and Ole Miss. The tournament will start Wednesday, A&M and Vanderbilt. Right now, Mississippi State will take on Kentucky in the early game on Thursday. Tennessee would get the winner of A&M Vanderbilt, Missouri, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Georgia. You see the teams that would get the double bye into the quarterfinals on Friday. Alabama, the SEC regular season champion. Arkansas, perhaps playing the best ball of all. Trey Mann has carried Florida. A lot of folks hoping that they would make a run in the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. We are working on Jimmy Dykes. He's got some technical issues. And for now, I'll handle the Gamecocks and the Wildcats until Jimmy is fixed. Starting lineup for Kentucky is different today. There is no point guard other than Davion Mintz. Devin Askew will not start for Kentucky as they open up in a man-to-man. We also will not see Jermaine Couisnard, who suffered a rib injury during practice, and South Carolina on the board as Trayvon Minot, who has really come on, gets the flush. So it's Boston, Mintz, Jacob Toppin gets the start, Jackson and Olivier Sarr. Mintz was banged up during the week, a frequent injury rule where he came down on his ankle awkwardly. He's okay to play today as Boston knocks down a 15-foot jump shot. A.J. Lawson, T.J. Moss, Manaya, Keyshawn Bryant's been the best, and Minot. That's Lawson from the free throw line. Frank Martin told us earlier today, biggest concern for him, rebounding and keeping Isaiah Jackson, who has the ball now, off that offensive glass. And just like that, Jackson puts it back up and in. He has been the most consistent, best player for Kentucky down the stretch. The key for him, and for Kentucky, keeping him on the floor and out of foul trouble. Shot in and out from Bryant. Jackson quickly up with it. He knocks it down, and you can see the confidence he is playing with now. Kentucky off to a good start from the floor. T.J. Moss has Mintz on him. Three-point attempt, and that one is short, and Boston gets that long rebound. Good job boxing out on Justin Manaya and then grabbing the rebound. Sarr with Minot on him. They have a height advantage with Jackson underneath. They don't elect to go there. Good ball movement. Boston high arcing three, and it falls, and Kentucky off to a 4 of 5 start from the floor, lead at 9-4. That's a walk. Trayvon Minot's an interesting story. He joined the team just before spring semester, January 5th. He's trying to get acclimated to the program, and there's no Martin because of COVID. The assistant coach, Chuck Martin, is out. It took them a couple of weeks before they really had a chance to get to work with him. And it shows you, since he arrived on campus and got into their basketball program, just how far he has come. Look out, B.J. Boston off to a great start. He's got 8, 3 of 3. Winning the race down the floor is Justin Manaya. Look for a couple of other changes from Calipari, getting Dante Allen time, and if they struggle on the glass, we'll see Justin Ware. Tough interior pass there as Sarr looked over at Toppin and said probably should have kicked it back to you. Instead he forced it into Jackson. And it went out of bounds. 12th season as Kentucky head coach. The recurring theme from Calipari and Frank Martin today, the fact that we didn't have a chance to practice or play together in the summer, that's when we get to know each other. It's the season where those relationships turn into trusting each other. And that void affects everybody, and it certainly affected these two teams. Good cut and a lay-in for Justin Minaya. Here's Isaiah Jackson working on the baseline, cut off by Minot. Sarr in and out. Jackson deflected it, and he deflected it right off the hands of Toppin. It'll be Gamecocks basketball. Last regular season game at Rupp Arena. Things have gone historically bad both at home and on the road for Kentucky, who sit there at 8-15 and are for the most part locked into that 8-9 game. There's going to have to be a variety of things that go on for them to get out of it, as Keyshawn Bryant, who's generally a scoring machine on the slam dunk side, knocks down the jump shot. Boston will launch again, and that one is way off. And boy, the fluidity that Kentucky had to start this thing disappeared towards the 16-minute break. And it was South Carolina and their offense starting to click. B.J. Boston, 8 points. Jackson, 4. That's Kentucky's 12. They lead it by 2. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5 Hour Energy, the official sponsor of Getting Stuff Done. And in part by DiGiorno. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. Carl Ravitch, Jimmy Dykes is dealing with some technical issues back at his home in Arkansas. Hope to have those worked out shortly. Kentucky off to a good start shooting. Largest lead was 8. It's down to 2, 12-10. Neither of these teams would make the NCAA tournament. Obviously, given their records, they would have to go on and win the SEC tournament. And for a while, it felt like Kentucky was beginning to peak, and then all of a sudden, those 2 late season losses to Florida and Ole Miss reminded everyone how they got into the position that they're in. Calipari told us, we have worked on getting 7 guys in there, and now we got to move that aside. It's all about winning. 3-pointer misses, long distance shot from T.J. Moss. If you're just joining us now, Devin Askew not in the starting lineup for Kentucky. Davion Mintz ran the point last game, did a good job, 8 assists, only 1 turnover. So he gets the nod there at point, and so far, Jacob Toppin, the younger brother of Obi Toppin, who we'll see in the slam dunk contest later, is the guy benefiting the most when it comes to minutes. 2 on the shot clock, and Mintz, the long-range 3, front of the iron. And they did a nice job blocking out both Jackson and Sarr. Fast break points have been all Gamecocks. That one deflected out of bounds by Jackson, as they were looking for Waldens Levesque, the sophomore out of Brockton, Massachusetts, who's in the game for Frank Martin. His 9th season as South Carolina head coach. I thought it was so interesting when he said we didn't get a chance to establish any type of relationship. Boy, they just had that go through the fingertips of Bryant. Would have been a big-time dunk. Boston misses the layup down the other end. The idea that in the beginning of the season, as we are getting to know each other, is when you establish relationships, and then once the season starts, that's when you trust those relationships. So few teams establish those relationships, especially with guys that are freshmen. You don't know these kids. Certainly that's the case much more with Kentucky than South Carolina. Sarr can launch, and he does. Knocks down a 3 from straight away. Olivier Sarr is a 47% three-point shooter. No one comes out to guard him. Sarr's had a couple of chances, late game situations to help win a game for Kentucky or tie it. And he's just come up occasionally short or had it go in and out. It's funny. Both of these teams' coaches will tell you how unlucky they have been, and there are statistics which would bear that out. Both of them will highlight the chances they've had to win games and have it go the other way. Frank Martin said it's amazing how well teams shoot against us. Ball on the floor, and it is Allen who's in the game and ties it up. Also into the game, Trey Hannibal for South Carolina. Isn't that the way it always goes when you aren't playing well and you feel like you're struggling? It always feels like the other team is playing great, and shots that wouldn't generally fall always fall against you. Sarr driving, dribbling too much. That ball will go out of bounds against South Carolina. It'll stay with Kentucky, but Sarr got trapped along the baseline. Sarr continues to force the action inside. We got a foul against South Carolina. That one will go on T.J. Moss. Huge last Saturday, regular season college basketball. Of course, Duke, North Carolina tonight as Allen comes in. His first shot no good. The lesson from Calipari to Allen: launch, shoot when you're open, and keep shooting. We need you to make threes to open up that court. Toppin doing his best to stay in front of the drive, and he did a good job, but that is tipped in by Walden's Levesque. Keon Brooks into the game as well. So Allen and Brooks off the bench to play. Jackson on the bench. Sarr tries to penetrate, throws it up, and he gets it to go with a little jump hook. Olivier Sarr. 5 early points, and back there to deflect it is Keon Brooks. I think he learned that sitting on the bench. Like, wait a minute, they're getting ahead of you. We got to make sure we get back, and that time he did. Today's college basketball action, ESPN will wrap up with that Sonic blockbuster doubleheader. 4 Eastern time, really good one. The Illini, who have been great down the stretch, take on Ohio State, ranked 6th. Then at 6 Eastern, the latest installment of the greatest rivalry in college basketball, Duke and North Carolina. That closes out the regular season, both games on ESPN and the ESPN app. And receiving the ball and stepping out of bounds at the same time was 7th Woods. That'll be a turnover against South Carolina. Chance with a loss that Duke is not going to be in the NCAA tournament. It just feels like that if they are able to get a win, that they would work their way into it with a couple of wins in the ACC tournament. Ware shot goes off the side of the backboard. Bryant 3 too strong and ripping it away. What a job on the offensive glass by Trey Hannibal. He took it away from Davion Mintz, and that set up an easy layup. Great effort from Trey Hannibal, the sophomore out of Hartsville, South Carolina. Kevin Askew now back in the game, picked up his dribble, and he gets it to Allen. Mintz creates a shot, and that's way too strong. So Kentucky, after that great start, they were 4 of 5, are now 7 of 16 from the floor, under 44%. The drive right into Ware, and that's going to send A.J. Lawson, the junior guard, to the free throw line. He's averaging a team high 17.5 this season. Trey Hannibal, I'll take that. And then the little dish, Jalen Query, and he sent it down. Kentucky leading South Carolina 17-14, and much to the joy and perhaps disappointment in some small place, Jimmy Dykes is rejoining the telecast. Jimmy, welcome.
Ravi, man, you've done well for the first, 8 minutes without me, and I haven't been able to watch a lot of it. We're trying to get me set up here, but the one stat that jumps out to me early, Kentucky has not turned that basketball over yet, and we know the issue they've had. They're handling the ball this year, so a clean offensive start for Big Blue Nation.
Yeah, a clean offensive start. I assume you have seen that Devin Askew wasn't in the starting lineup. And, you know, one thing that Mintz did in the last game when he played on the floor, he had 8 assists and only 1 turnover. So they opted to have Askew start on the bench. To your point, he's just come in a couple of minutes ago, and we'll see if the turnover rate stays where it is.
Yeah, I thought Davion Mintz looked really good with that ball in his hands against Ole Miss. The Kentucky assist rate went up. We know he's one of the shot threats that Cal can put on the floor. I don't know if you've talked about it or not, but a win today by Kentucky, they're going to be in that 8 or 9 seed in the SEC tournament. A loss could possibly drop into 10. So a lot at stake right now in this ball game.
Yeah, a lot has to happen for them to come out of that 8-9 game, that early Thursday window. But yes, we have discussed the implications not only in this conference, in this game, but certainly across the country. I know you have more about what's going on in the country. In South Carolina, a wild shot thrown up by Moss that finds the back. Allen, that's a 3, and he eyes it and comes up just short. So Dante Allen, the shooter, 0 for 2.
Thought it was interesting. Calipari told us yesterday that Dante has not been shooting the ball in practice the last 3 or 4 days like he was, you know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. But I think I heard you earlier say, Dante, let it fly, man. It's the only way you get yourself out of it.
That's right. And obviously one significant change beyond the starting lineup, just the number of players that Calipari has used today. You know, ideally you're at 7 or 8 in a rotation. We are much deeper than that. Little baseline jumper. That one goes from McQuarrie.
Good job by Just Benaya to not try to shoot a bad pass. He fumbled it, kept the ball clean, kept it moving. Frank Martin told us earlier this morning, we've got to make some jump shots and loosen up that Kentucky defense to give us some drive angles.
A run out, you heard Calipari go, and Boston drives and can't get it to go. He had a chance, but the layup rattles in and out. Good start, Jimmy, for Boston from the floor today. He is cold, he is chilled a little bit, but 8 points out of the gate.
Ravi, if Kentucky has any shot of winning 1 game at a time, 4 times in a row next week, and that's their mindset, then they have to play fast and they have to fight. Kentucky has been in ball games this year when they are playing fast and they're getting shots up in the first 15, 16 seconds of the shot clock. That's why we will hear Cal this game and all next week, go, go, go.
On your screen, you see the NBA draft prospect, and Mike Schmitz, one of our draft experts, he gives him A grades across, and he describes him this way. But the number 26, Jimmy, is down from where it was at the beginning of the year.
Well, in my opinion, this is a kid that needs to come back for another year. And he needs to have a great offseason. He needs to work on his body. He needs to work on his drive game. And he needs to learn under Cal for a full another year. And not worry about the timeline of anybody else's path. Will he do it? I'm not sure, but I know he could greatly benefit number 3 in white from an offseason.
Tough shot by McQuarrie. He took the bump from Sarr and got it to go. So McQuarrie doing a good job offensively. He's got 6 points. Askew goes back to the bench. Mintz and Boston in the backcourt. Toppin, Sarr, and Jackson, the starting 5, back on the floor for Kentucky, and they move the ball around. Mintz double teamed. Somebody's open. It's Boston with 7 on the shot clock. That's short. Offensive rebound. Jacob Toppin.
Yeah, Jacob Toppin says, if you're not going to throw me the ball on my side of the floor in the zone offense, I'll just have to run in and get a rim run, because Kentucky never got the ball reversed against that South Carolina 2-3 zone.
7th Woods, high arcer. That's too strong. Offensive rebound down low. We're going to have a foul. How in the world does McQuarrie go up amidst Sarr and Jackson and come down with it?
Yeah, Jacob Toppin comes in from the left wing. The ball never got to the left third of the floor for Kentucky in their zone offense. And I expect South Carolina to play their 2-3 zone. I expect to see some 3-2 zone out of South Carolina today, and see if Kentucky can make enough jump shots in this ball game.
Again, if you're just joining us, Jermaine Couisnard, who had come back for the Gamecocks and scored 26 against Kentucky last year, had a game-winning shot right at the buzzer. They do not anticipate him playing. Got banged in the ribs on Thursday. And typical of the season for South Carolina, you would think their best chance to win this game or increase their chances would have been to have Couisnard on the floor.
Yeah, just an explosive physical guard, you know, and a guy that can get himself to the free throw line, which is a big part of this ball game, according to Frank Martin. Can you get Kentucky in foul trouble, especially 23 in white?
Boston the drive. It ends up in the hands of Jackson. Boy, is he athletic. He laid it in with that left as he switched to it.
Every one-and-done guy under Calipari has played their best in the month of March. They've improved during the season. Isaiah Jackson, a terrific example of that.
Over the outstretched arm of Jackson. And Jackson, over the course of the last few days, and after Calipari talked about, we got to get more rebounding. We need players to stay on the floor. Jackson, who you see here, Jimmy, said, I took that personally. I'm going to go for every rebound tonight, and I'm going to do my best to stay out of foul trouble.
Ravi, Kentucky on the year is 75, 78 points better when he's on the floor. That's the value he has. The reason why Isaiah Jackson could play in an NBA game tonight, the gas is always down with him. It's all gas, no breaks. He's a freak athlete that just makes plays.
Davion Mintz knocks down a three from straight away. So we've seen a couple from Sarr and Mintz, and Kentucky's lead back up to 3. They've made 4 of 11. Gamecocks haven't made a three-pointer yet. Boy, Prairie, that rim looks wide open.
A really good job to take the hit and spin off of it. Get to that right shoulder.
Prairie, who didn't start, has got 10 points for South Carolina. Oh, bad pass right into the hands of the defender. Mintz got fooled. That shot high up off the window, no good. Gamecocks battle, Toppin and Ware, and it's Ware who rips it away. And now he and McCreary get into it a little bit. Don Daly, KB Burnett Jr. and Owen Short try to break it up. Take us to break, Jimmy. You're back.
Well, the last regular season day of SEC play, you're going to fight regardless of your record. We're also going to look at the monitor.
That's Isaiah Jackson. No fouls, no blocks yet, but he is on a great list, isn't he, Jimmy?
Well, yeah, you look at Anthony Davis, had 5.8 blocks per 40 minutes under Cal, one of the all-time great shot blockers in college basketball. And Nerlens Noel, 5.5 blocks per 40 minutes. And Willie Cauley-Stein was right there with those same numbers. So what has Isaiah Jackson done this year? Ravi's blocking 5.2 shots per 40 minutes with a block percentage of 13.5, one of the top two or three that we have in the college game. I think Isaiah Jackson will be the second big taken in the NBA draft behind Evan Mobley at Southern Cal. I think he's wired to be that type of an athlete. His frame says he can easily carry another 15 or 20 pounds. His ceiling is as good as we've had coming out of Kentucky in terms of a big.
And he's progressed the same way so many of the Kentucky freshmen do. You know, they start out, they literally, you know, are a little bit clumsy. They're not confident. The high school doesn't translate to college. But by the end of that freshman year going into the tournament, you are looking, as you just said, arguably the second big taken in the draft. And he, unlike some of the other guys, really have followed that Calipari curve that we are so accustomed to seeing with the freshmen. He got double teamed. He swings it out top to Mintz. Good find down low, and Sarr got stuck underneath the backboard. He buried himself.
Yeah, Sarr should have taken the jump shot when he caught it at the 10-foot mark. That's his sweet spot. That's where he lives.
25-24, under 7 to go. First half, final game, SEC. This is a makeup from a December 29th canceled game. There's a lot of the teams playing SEC games today, making up for games they lost. That is going to be a great one at 4 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. The Fighting Illini and the Buckeyes of Ohio State. Joe Lunardi projecting 9 teams from the Big Ten, 9 getting into the NCAA tournament.
The South Carolina zone is doing good work, man. They are flying around, active on the other end. When Kentucky gets the ball back, we'll talk about it some more, but I think Frank Martin feels really good about his club defensively, considering they gave up 101 earlier this week to Arkansas.
Boston, that time he was wide open, and B.J. Boston now into double figures with 12.
Good smooth stroke by Boston coming into this ball game over his last 4 out of 21 from the three-point line for B.J. Boston.
Gonna get a travel underneath. Jimmy, they've used that play a lot where you have a South Carolina Gamecock running along the baseline. The defender turns his head, and from the top of the key, you get a bullet, sort of no-look pass with the defender unable to see it.
Yeah, the coaches in this league, Ravi, will tell you that Georgia and South Carolina are probably the best in this league at hard cutting out of the corners. Now that zone was extended a little bit. It still drops back to a 2-3. South Carolina will double that basketball in the short corners.
Sarr had that one, our first block of the day from behind. Trey Hannibal one-on-one with Boston. He kicks it out. Boston try to get away with a push-off as Keyshawn Bryant drives hard into Sarr. And they call an offensive foul.
Such an explosive guy is Bryant. And he reads the angle. That's a good attack. So the angle of Toppin was a bad closeout, but a really good job by Sarr to step up knowing that Bryant is a guy that's either going to shoot a jump shot on the catch or go all the way to the rim. Well done by Sarr. Ravi, any zone is good when the guys are moving on the flight of the ball. Watch the black jerseys move, tracing the ball while it's in the air.
Height advantage is clear as Sarr comes down with the offensive rebound. Ball movement there is quick, and Toppin, baseline jumper, no good. Wow, Boston went up high. Oh, give B.J. Boston credit for that work. He came out of nowhere and deflected it, kept it alive, and then it was Sarr who was eventually fouled.
I believe Calipari with his own offense is a guy that says we're going to send 4 to the offensive glass. We'll keep our point guard out, but now you're going to have to deal with my 2 guard, who is B.J. Boston at 6'7", flying in from the wings. Kentucky is a team that doesn't always true with their jump shot, so you attack that offensive glass with 4, and I love the start by Kentucky in that area.
Tomorrow afternoon, Jimmy, the regular season finale. 2 top-notch Big 12 teams. Baylor hosting 18th ranked Texas Tech. Red Raiders against the Big 12 champion Bears, 4 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Oklahoma State is going to be without Cade Cunningham today. Rolled an ankle, should be okay for the tournament, but he is not playing today. Let's take a look at the 1 and 2 seeds as that shot from Levesque falls down. It's interesting. I saw Joe Lunardi suggest that Alabama, perhaps, or some other team currently on the 2 line could come off the 2 line.
Yeah, so that is Sarr's game, Ravi. I think if you're Calipari, you move him off that baseline in this zone and let him float around. See how many 14, 15 footers you can get. Talking to Scott Drew earlier this week about his guys, he says, Jimmy, I have 3 or 4 guys right now that when they step on the floor, they're saying, we are not leaving this floor without a win. And, man, you better have those kind of dudes in March.
Good touch from Keyshawn Bryant. Just back to that Lunardi point. His suggestion was if West Virginia were able to beat Oklahoma State, again, no Cunningham, that they would move into a 2 seed, West Virginia.
Well, you and I have seen West Virginia. That combination of Culver and McBride as you over-penetrate against the zone that time by Jacob Toppin. We shall see.
Offensive foul on Toppin. I'll help you out. 32-28 Cats with under 4 to go. I mean, it is late in the season, and Seth Greenberg is spot on, peaking as we get set for the tournament. When you throw it to your own team, you look a lot better than throwing it to the other team.
Yeah, and to his point, Kentucky only 3 turnovers in the game so far.
More coming up on the Jeep halftime report. And the strength of Bryant inside, missed that shot. And I had an easy layup.
Good play, though, out of the timeout by Frank Martin. Drive the right side of the floor, dive a guy from the left side of the rim. Normally, Bryant doesn't miss.
Olivier Sarr, that's a walk. Just quickly, Jimmy, too, we just heard the voice of our buddy Reese Davis. You saw this week ESPN and Reese announced a contract extension. Want to congratulate Reese and ESPN, both making great decisions, and we are so excited to have Reese in the fold for the foreseeable future. He handles and does that babysitting job with the game day crews, both football and basketball, as well as anybody. In fact, I'm not sure anybody else would really want to do what he does, but he does it so well. So good work for Reese.
Our RD is one of the few guys in our profession at that level that is a truly humble star. Like, there's nothing big time, big shot at any point in Reese Davis's life, and I really admire just how he goes through his life. And he and I have developed a pretty good friendship, but that's rare. When I describe someone as a humble star, that's rare.
For the most part, in anything, if you can check your ego at the coat rack when you walk in, for the most part, you're going to be better off, and you're certainly going to be a better teammate that way. 32-28, 2:51 to go here. Askew, who didn't start, on the floor. Look out. Boy, Bryant was right there, and the ball was thrown over his head. They've missed on 2 of those easy layups on just the inbounds pass.
Keep that ball moving. Keep it hot. Don't let it stick.
Well, a slow motion play, like Sarr had a dog biting his ankle there, and he was able to get up and knock down that shot.
Get down, Fido. Get down. Yeah, if you're South Carolina, you're trying to create space and drive gaps right now.
Hannibal no good. That was a good box out by Boston, and you saw Wildens Levesque come out of nowhere, and he gets called for the foul.
Yeah, Olivier Sarr just not a great angle. A good job by Mintz to whip it around on the right side and together his feet underneath him. He's a finesse 7-footer is what Olivier Sarr is, and tremendous in terms of the SEC Community Service Award this year as a senior. He has engaged in over 100 hours of community service from his time at Wake Forest in Kentucky. He's a very well-rounded young man, 30 and white.
And right there, he picks up the offensive foul with a moving screen. The most significant aspect of the first half, Jimmy, you have Boston with a really good performance. He's got 12. That guy Sarr has got 11. And perhaps the biggest deal is Jackson's got 6, but he has no personal fouls. In Kentucky, the last handful of games, has gotten used to finishing games with 23 on the bench.
Well, he's been studying a lot of film, Isaiah Jackson, and trying to take off of those, reach in, crazy hard bad fouls from 30 feet away. Wow, just getting met at the rim, right?
That was both Mintz and Sarr there to block that attempt by Hannibal.
Yeah, this is about as physical as I've seen Sarr this year in this game, and he better be, because that's what South Carolina wants to come in and do. That is a terrific example of a principle of verticality inside the restricted arc. Go up a tall wall, take the blow. Well done by Sarr.
Right, don't bring those arms down. That's like a recipe for a foul on the offensive end, though. That's Sarr, and he charged right in. He picks up another one. So while Jackson is staying out of foul trouble, Olivier Sarr now has 3 personals.
I don't know if they caught that elbow in the face area by Sarr right there. I didn't see any sign from Owen Short, just play on. Certainly one that could have been looked at.
Jimmy, is that a question of Sarr doing things he's not really comfortable doing? Because you said he's a finesse spot-up guy, and he's trying to drive there. Is that something he's just not comfortable doing?
Well, I don't think that's his strength, and Cal got him out of the game now. Isaiah Jackson comes back in and starts eating up rebounds. But, if Kentucky is going to make noise next week, it's going to go through the hands of B.J. Boston, Isaiah Jackson, Olivier Sarr, and Mintz. Those are the 4 guys. Brooks can contribute a little bit as well. I like Brooks's game. But those first 3 names, in particular Boston and Jackson, how much can they grow up next week in Nashville? We will wait and see.
It looks like when Levesque came down with the attempted block and drew the foul, that Jackson jammed a finger or something. You saw him grabbing at it. Let's take a look, Jimmy, see if you see anything. Yeah, it was from behind, actually. I think it wasn't Levesque, but it was from behind where he may have gotten that right hand tweaked. Didn't
Ravi,
hurt him on the free throw line.
Jackson has great eyes when the ball is in the air and on the rim. We'll try to find another shot as this game goes on. But there's a reason why he's so active. He has great eyes finding the ball.
Askew, he's going to get called for the foul. Calipari's head goes into his hands, and frustration for number 2.
Yeah, right there. I don't know if his hands got kind of underneath the ball, his fingers. I just know he's a tough kid, man. He's one of those guys, again, that just, you don't run plays for him. You turn him loose and let him make plays. Now, I think his IQ for the game, I know it has really grown from December to January to February, now into March. His understanding, Ravi, his understanding of angles in and out of setting a ball screen has really elevated. His understanding of how to cover a ball screen and the speed that he now has into and out of any ball screen action is at a whole nother level. Remember, he's the fastest guy Kentucky has in a three-quarter court sprint.
And I thought Mike Schmitz, we had him on the last time we did a Kentucky game. His description of Jackson's ability to jump, he described him as a pogo stick. Such a great description of him. He is so quick from ground and then back up, and then ground and then back up. Looks like we've got an injury of a South Carolina player underneath the basket. That's 7th Woods. Kind of grabbing at that right leg of his. You know, Jimmy, that looks like almost a groin pull. Without knowing, it looks like he pulled something.
Yeah, because that last left stride was really long, and then it kind of bounced on him a little bit.
All right, we'll take a 30-second timeout. Check the minutes plan Jimmy has on his phone. Make sure we're good here. Back with Jimmy Dykes. Carl Rabbit, 36-28. 7th Woods has walked off the court, albeit very slowly, and right into the locker room here at Rupp Arena. Gamecocks are without Jermaine Couisnard. He got hit, as Coach Martin said, in the ribs during a drill on Thursday, and as a result, he's out. That guy right there has dealt with a lot, man. He has twice been diagnosed with COVID during this season. His team has had 3 separate pauses for it. Says, thankfully, though, he's feeling as well as he has in a long, long time. And he's back. He was bragging about his work on the squat rack to us this morning.
Looks like you're doing a good job of switching this weave action up top.
Hannibal. Good help. Jackson there with a block. Sends it out of bounds with 2 on the shot clock.
He can hurt your feelings as a shot blocker, Isaiah Jackson. I mean, how good was he to gather on the second jump, man? It happened in less than a second. Bam, bam, the type of stuff you look for as an NBA scout.
Yep, good defense there as well. They did not get that shot off, and they'll have the ball inbounds with 7.4 to go and a chance before half to get this lead to 10, if not more. And you hear Calipari, timeout, timeout. They'll get a chance to take it with 5.6 to go. It's only 30. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, Jimmy, get in the head of Calipari. What's the play here? Who do they want to take this shot?
Well, I anticipate Cal drew up a zone play and a man-to-man play because South Carolina went into that timeout playing zone. Frank Martin may come out of it playing man-to-man. So you drop 2 plays right now. And I'm sure Cal knows the Hall of Fame coach has won 31 games over the last 15 years.
It's Boston who has it. He tries to step through the double team, immediately lost it. Then Hannibal launches and nearly made it.
Yeah, I knew South Carolina wasn't just going to sit back and let Calipari run his stuff. And it's a lesson learned right there for Kentucky going forward. Coming out of that timeout, understanding. Yep.
12 and 11, 36-28. Reese Davis, Fonz, and Seth with the Jeep halftime report. It's Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. South Carolina 4 points in the last 8 minutes. And as a result, it's 36-28 Kentucky. I tell you, the last play, Jimmy, the inbounds play, Jimmy Dykes rejoins us again via the telephone, so the audio is a little different. But this is symbolic of the season, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, you go to the timeout, and B.J. Boston has no thought of, they might come trap the life out of me. Very casual with the ball. And that's just a learning point for Kentucky right now. Good teams at this time of the year, they aren't making those type of plays with 5 seconds to go in the half. And that sums up John Calipari's year. The frustration just continues to come. Kentucky did a lot of good things in the first half. But those type of plays next week in Nashville could knock you out of the tournament if you can't execute with 5 to go in the game on the line.
That's right. So they struggled at the end of the half to score. They struggle here coming out of the gate with the shot. T.J. Moss. Here are the first half statistics. Each team shoots around 40%. Carolina misses all 5 of their 3-point attempts. Both teams decent from the free throw line. Rebounds just about equal. And Kentucky used a lot of guys off the bench. They just didn't get any productivity. Dribbling it right off of his foot. Not a bounds, South Carolina.
Now Kentucky with the last 2.5 minutes of the first half, Ravi, without a made field goal. And this zone is, they've done a pretty good job against it. The ball has to keep moving, it has to stay hot, and it must get below the free throw line extended for good things to happen.
3-2 zone they play. Mintz will start again with now 10 on the shot clock. And Jackson got it in a tough spot in the corner of the baseline. He had to fire it off the body. Keyshawn Bryant.
And now you're in that dead corner if you're Kentucky with 9 seconds to go. And be very difficult to get a clean look.
Mintz uses a ball fake and he launches a 3 that's around and out. Keon Brooks battles for it. It's deflected back to Mintz. Jacob Toppin gets the start. Devin Askew didn't start the game and he doesn't start the second half. That's Brooks' shot right there. Free throw line extended. Knocks it down for Keon Brooks.
Where is A.J. Lawson offensively for South Carolina in this game? Another missed shot by 0-0. He has to get going offensively.
B.J. Boston looked like he had a step. I think he's telling an official, I had a step and then I got yanked back. You watched that Kentucky bench. They all stood up saying you got to keep running, getting the sense that Boston had a hand on that uniform or his arm to make sure he couldn't get ahead. Trey Hannibal finds a cutter, really good balance to get that ball up and in. Bryant with his left is terrific.
Yeah, Bryant is the best off-the-ball cutter that Frank Martin puts on the floor. And he really understands how to drag himself behind drives as Mintz just rises up and fires.
Trey Hannibal's defense against Mintz there, too far off a good 3-point shooter, whether he's hot or not, and that one is rejected by Toppin, who's been fairly active. He had a follow-up dunk on the offensive end and a big block there.
Toppin, I think he really understands the game. It's not a lack of understanding what Cal wants with this kid. And one of those transfers that came in for Kentucky this year, that we talked about it on Tuesday or Wednesday night, man, when you bring those transfers in, I think it's not the skill you bring in that's as important as how are they wired, how much fight, how competitive are they, all those things. I think Toppin has a lot of those characteristics.
Goes to the hole, flipped it up with a scoop. Brooks was there. Jackson can't get it. I'll go the other way. It's not the shot they want from Toppin. Hannibal the take. Follow is there for A.J. Lawson.
That was as bad of a shot attempt as I may have seen in the SEC this year. We should have a column on the official stat sheet for bad shots taken. That, however, was a good shot taken by Mintz once again.
Mintz 2 3-pointers here in the second half. And quickly his point total climbs. He's got 2 threes. He joined Boston with 12 and Sarr with 11. You mentioned Lawson. He misses that one. A.J. Lawson, 1 of 7 from the floor and 4 points. Good pass, Toppin to Jackson. He was met at the rim. Good defense. Second time with a follow with the left.
It's his eyes and how good he is off that second bounce. His second jump is just as high or even higher, Ravi, than his first jump because his instincts, man, they are always on point.
Boy, Boston
I love
had
that
2
sound.
Gamecocks go down and 4 burn, and then a foul on Toppin from behind. That all started with the alley-oop pass, or at least the head pass that went off the rim, and then it just went south from there.
Watch Jackson's first jump. He gets challenged, but right back up, man. It takes him, I don't know, 3 or 4 tenths of a second to gather himself, boom, up and out. And he will grade so high when NBA scouts bring him in for those kind of workouts. They'll put a clock on is how quick you can get to your second jumping off the floor.
Yeah.
Dynamic.
Pogo stick.
A lot of length, hard to guard.
Levesque one-on-one. Sarr goes up over him and rattles it home.
Yeah, but if you're Kentucky, you have taken the air out of South Carolina's offense by not letting A.J. Lawson get rolling in this game.
Dante Allen back into the game.
Make other guys beat you today if you're Kentucky, and no, it cannot be A.J. Lawson.
Sarr steps into it as Levesque laid off a little bit, and he missed it off the front iron. Hannibal alley-oop, that worked well. Wildens Levesque was there as the defense vacated.
Yeah, they did. They didn't fight it. And you have to have a nastiness about you in your conversion defense. South Carolina just ran a simple middle-of-the-floor ball screen, got an easy roll. Wow.
Easy. That's a layup right now for Davion Mintz, who knocks it down.
And he shoots a good ball, doesn't he? If I was Davion Mintz, I would come back next year and be one of the best guards in the SEC and experience 22,000 in Rupp Arena every night because he has missed out on that.
Hannibal, not a good three-point shooter, missed that one. And Mintz will launch again. Oh, Davion Mintz bangs another 3. He is on fire. 15 points. Find him again. Well, he'll find himself. Yes, sir! Davion Mintz, another 3, a timeout, and a 19-point lead thanks to 18 from that guy.
Davion Mintz in rhythm, in transition. You can't pick him up too soon. On fire, Davion Mintz.
9 points, 42 seconds. The Davion Mintz show.
He's now 6 out of 10 from the three-point line, and he's done it a couple of multiple ways. You see the step back right there, then in transition. I mean, the guy's just made back-to-back threes on you. You have to pick him up when that ball comes across the half-court line. Davion Mintz is a guy that can really get hot, and he's been good at that point guard spot as well. And Cal put him in that starting lineup today at that spot, and he is very confident on both ends of the floor. He's been their best defensive guard for Kentucky all year long.
4 assists, 2 turnovers to go with those 18 points. And a real danger spot for South Carolina with 14 and a half to go. They got to start making shots, and that'll help. TJ Moss buries a 3. A.J. Boston's once in the act. Oh, that net is getting large. He buries a 3. Kentucky has not had one of those games where, as Calipari told us yesterday, you look around, teams are winning by 20, 25, 30. Every one of our games is, you know, within the last couple of minutes, a 2-point game. See if they can finish one off here with a depleted South Carolina team. No Jermaine Kusnard. Isaiah Jackson goes one-on-one. That ball out of bounds. Tough defense from Justin Minaya. We will take a timeout. Under 14 to go. 17-point cushion for the Wildcats. and Ohio State and Michigan, and the way Michigan State's playing, like they've just played each other and nobody else. Looking forward to those blockbuster games as we continue here. Kentucky, Davion Mintz, and this is how quickly, Jimmy, as you know, it can turn around. He was 4 of 21 over the last 4 games from three-point land. 4 of 21. And today he's 6 of 10. He is still 6 of now 11 as he threw up an air ball. A timeout cooled him off.
I don't know why he decided to lean back on his jump shot. And that's why he came up short. The other 4 or 5 in a row he's made today, he's been straight up and straight down. Ravi, if the Big Ten doesn't win the national championship this year, when are they going to do it? Because they're going to have 4 of the top 8 seeds going into that tournament. And that's, you got the National Player of the Year coming out of there. Juwan Howard, probably the National Coach of the Year. I would say the National Games of the Year so far have come out of that league, but Gonzaga and Baylor, Florida State, Alabama, they're going to have something to say in that national title hunt, I think, as well. But 21 years now we're going on without a title out of the Big Ten. And that league is loaded.
Teams, yeah, in the top 25. You mentioned the fact that 4 of them will get top 8 seeds, and there they are: Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, and Ohio State. Iowa has been a little off lately relative to how they started this season. Teams have not figured out how to stop Luka Garza, but they certainly have made life a little tougher for them. Looks like 9 teams coming out of the Big Ten getting into the NCAA tournament. Lob down low. Jackson a little late on the help, and Jalen McQuarrie has now set a career high in points.
Kentucky's ball screen defense. Yeah, Kentucky's ball screen defense today is something that Cal's going to have to look at on film with his guys. Because South Carolina's been able to roll out of it a couple of times and cause Kentucky some problems. And as athletic as Jackson and guys are, man, that's just a simple pin right there. That's not even a ball screen. Ware just gets pinned on the high side, and it's an easy over the top.
Askew the drive, and there you go. I was looking at the box score. Usually the Kentucky point guard is such an impactful player, and Askew didn't start today, but those are his first 2 points. That's his first shot. He doesn't have an assist. He doesn't have a turnover, and now he made a shot. He picks up a rebound, and now with 2 South Carolina players on the floor, he's unable to advance it and take advantage of it, so they'll reset.
Just manage the game if you're Devin Askew next week in Nashville, and give Kentucky a chance.
Sarr put it on the floor. I don't know, he put it on the floor, and a chance there to keep it in bounds, but Lawson slid on the floor and right out of bounds. We'll take a timeout. All Kentucky right now, under 12 to go. See if they can finish it, or the Gamecocks got a run in them. All right, Jimmy, it says Jimmy's SEC Award, so go ahead, you got the podium.
Well, I'm going with Herb Jones for Alabama just because of all the things he did for the team that won the league. Javon Quinterly just barely edged out J.D. Notae for Arkansas for the 6th man of the year. They both have been so good. Moses Moody's a freshman of the year. I know Cam Thomas has scored all the points, but that guy impacts winning at a high level. I think it's a very clear cut that Trey Mann is the most improved player of the year. Nate Oates, Eric Musselman is almost a coin toss. Exactly what I did. I came up heads for Nate Oates, tails for Eric Musselman. I go with Nate Oates. Both of those guys have done a tremendous job. You look at Alabama sitting there as a 2 seed. Arkansas right now a chance to move up to a 2 seed, depending on how well they do next week in Nashville.
Askew drives, Jackson, that's deep, and that's too deep when 23 has the ball. Yeah, I like what you did there with Nate Oates and Eric Musselman. I just would have given the co-coach of the year to Eric/Nate Muscle Oates and been done with it. Sarr getting position.
And that ball's been moving. Keep it moving.
Isaiah Jackson baseline fouled, and he'll go to the free throw line. How much better, Jimmy, in spite of the last 2 losses, would you say Kentucky is now relative to when they were at their low point? How much better, if at all?
I don't know how you break it down numbers-wise. I can just tell you they are a much better ball club. Watching them on film, coaches tell you the same thing. You and I, when we talk to them, that you've seen the growth of Kentucky defensively. The ball is moving much better. The question I have for Kentucky, and I asked Calipari this last night, when you get in a close game, either today or next week in Nashville with 2 minutes to go, where are you going with the ball? He said, I have no idea. And that is not the common answer from John Calipari this late in the year. He always, in the past, knows it's a John Wall ball screen or a P.J. Washington on the left block. And for this year's team, it has not come forth yet. He says it's going to be a game-to-game decision. What's been working for us is how I have to go with my gut calls next week in Nashville. That's not a comfortable spot to be in when you head to your conference tournament.
High arcing three goes down from Keyshawn Bryant. He's got 9 now. Well, the names you mentioned, and you didn't throw in the Tyler Heroes, even Ashton Hagans, while he wasn't a go-to guy, they all could create a shot. They could blow by somebody and at least create open space, which would then create a 3 for, at least recently, somebody like Emmanuel Quickly. Who is that guy on this team?
It's Calipari's play call. I mean, in all honesty, his play call now is the breakdown guy. And he's going to have to be really good at it next week in Nashville if they're going to hang in there for 2 or 3 or 4 days. We talked about it in length on Wednesday. You don't have a breakdown guard that can just go get it. You got to run great stuff. You got to execute it. Got to make the right call.
12 turnovers against the Wildcats. 12 assists for Kentucky as well. Good defense by Devin Askew right there. He got in the face of T.J. Moss and picked up a block. Askew doing a better job penetrating, and he threw it up there, and he got fouled so often in years past. Be one of those plays where the point guard for Kentucky would throw it up near the rim, and somebody would alley-oop dunk it like Jackson. That time he attempted to make the shot, nearly did. It all starts on Wednesday, the SEC tournament. You'll be able to see it on the SEC network, ESPN, the ESPN app. Wednesday's first round game, Thursday's second round games, and Friday's late quarters will be on the SEC network. Friday's early quarters, Saturday's semis, and Sunday's championship game will be on ESPN. So the night games for the most part on ESPN, the day games for the most part will be found on the SEC network, and great pre and post game coverage on the SEC network all week. Be in Nashville for the SEC tournament. May not have the star power that the Big 12 or the Big 10 has, but it will certainly have the unpredictability. You think Alabama and Arkansas are going to meet in that final? It certainly feels that way, but hardly a guarantee the way the season has gone. 4-on-2 numbers, and just like that, a deflection out of bounds.
Ravi, 17 of the last 18 national champions. Before the NCAA tournament again, they were all in the top 40 offensive and defensive efficiencies. Now that number changes as you progress through that NCAA tournament. But as of today, we have 17 teams in the country that are in the top 40, both offensive and defensive efficiencies. We only have 2 out of the SEC, Arkansas and Florida. Alabama is at 41 on offense, so I think they'll be there as well. But just keep track of that number now as we get closer to March, and keep your eye on those teams.
Lawson no good. Boy, Levesque came right down on the shoulder of Sarr. They don't call it. The other thing that's happened here, Jimmy, the last couple of minutes, we've seen Devin Askew blow by his defender. It's led to layups, free throws, and offensive rebounds. So keep an eye on Devin Askew and his ability to blow by his man as Sarr goes back-to-back, and it's now a 69-46 advantage for Kentucky.
And to your point, Ravi, Kentucky up 9 on the boards. There is some value in getting the ball on the rim.
Yes.
Especially for John Calipari's teams over the years. And the value is John Calipari has always had those big, long 4 and 5 men that can come in and clean it up. So although the first shot's not going down for Askew, John Calipari is going to grade this film and say, that's what I need out of you going forward. Stay aggressive. And Askew, the one thing I admire about this kid, he has been punched around from every angle this season. He just continues to fight, say yes sir, no sir, stay coachable, stay tough. I like him going forward. He is what he is, but one thing he certainly is, that kid's tough.
Just think, though, if he were able to, in his mind, decide to come back and spend an entire offseason working on his game, the improvement that we have seen recently in some of the Kentucky guards, in Emmanuel Quickly and Hagans, Maxey a little bit, but you think about, especially Quickly and what he's done at the NBA level, from where he was, even when we started the season a couple years ago to where he ended, there's certainly an ability of these guys to do that, given that dedication, and they all are dedicated to the game. Their work ethic is not the issue.
No, I thought Cal was great last night talking to us. He said, whenever our season ends this year, I need guys walking into my office within a week saying, Coach, I'm coming back and I want to go to work right now. Make me better. I only want to hear your voice. And those are the kind of guys under every coach that make big steps. Trying to shave Boston off that little Reggie Miller cut across the top right there and a pin down on the weak side. Kentucky's running good stuff right now.
They free Boston up the screen, and he knocks it down. He gets fouled. Ware set the screen for him, and B.J. Boston having arguably his best game in a while.
Yeah, I said Kentucky's running good stuff because they got to the third option that time within the possession. They had a cut across the top. They had a post-up option that wasn't there, and then Boston just sprints into his shot. And one of the things that I think Boston has learned over the last couple of weeks is how hard you have to go if you want to get yourself open off of an off-ball cut. Very well done that time.
Recipe for success for Kentucky moving forward. This may be a blueprint for them today. Boston and Mintz each with 18. You got Jackson, who's got 13 and 9 rebounds in 25 minutes. He also, Isaiah Jackson has 1 foul, and Olivier Sarr, 15 points. Get those 4 guys shooting the way they're shooting today. Stay out of foul trouble. Keep your assist to turnover ratio positive in the assists. Maybe you get some Kentucky magic in the SEC tournament. Thanks, guys. And those ears got a chance, according to Joe Lenardi, with a win to move into a 2 seed. So much of the 2 line especially has got a chance to be impacted by what happens in these conference tournaments.
Rafi, Indiana has lost 8 in a row to Purdue. And that's as bitter of a rivalry as we have in college basketball. And you know that Indiana fan base is, they've had enough of that stuff. I don't know if it'll end today or not, the way Purdue's playing.
Askew drove in. Hannibal got him. Big E suffered a huge loss when Connor Gillespie went down with an injury. As we take a look at your Conference Player of the Year candidates.
Yeah, the major conferences, these are the guys that I think have done it. Carlik Jones has been tremendous as a transfer into Louisville. Luka Garza, obviously. Jared Butler at Baylor. Chris Duarte, I fell in love with him earlier this week. I had an Oregon-Arizona game. And Colin Gillespie, Player of the Year out of that league and out for the season. Just a monumental loss for Villanova. But those 5 guys right there, man, they have been outstanding. And what a team that would be to have to try to defend if you put those 5 guys on the floor in a game, huh?
Yeah, you couldn't do it. Good rebound, Brooks. He drives into the lane, hesitates, and is able to get it to go. Keon Brooks joins the point party.
If Kentucky has any shot of winning 4 in a row next week, they had to play like they are playing today. It couldn't be just a 2 or 3 point win and the turnovers and the bat. No, they had to play well and feel good about themselves when they leave Rupp Arena today. And with under 7 to go, that's exactly what they're tracking.
Brooks, tough shot. He buried himself again on the baseline. It's Davion Mintz who comes out of nowhere, and instead of a 3, he drops in a teardrop 2 for his 19th and 20th point.
Yeah, this is a little bit, Ravi, of South Carolina just heads down and letting go of the rope. But it's been all about Kentucky as well, is why South Carolina's in that spot. I think Calipari is trying to convince his guys, listen, my teams have always done great in conference tournaments. This is when we play our best. And that's been the selling point. You mentioned the hard shot by Brooks, but Mintz comes in again. The most aggressive team from opening tip till now has been the team in white.
Yeah, Calipari was telling us in years past, and the reason that we always played with confidence was because we were the biggest game every night. So they would have a big advantage by the time the tournaments showed up, be it conference or NCAA tournament. They certainly weren't looked at that way once the season really got on track, because they just weren't playing as they were the best team in the conference as they've been for so many years. But I'll say this, 28-point lead here and a big blowout victory. They have not had many of those, and none of those recently, obviously.
Well, they're going to have to do
how much success they've had.
Absolutely. Uncommon ground next week in Nashville. I said it earlier. Back in 1952, Kentucky had to win 4 in a row to win the SEC tournament. That's the last time that they did it. They go into next week, Kentucky 16-1 odds to win that thing. I think they're like 7th out of 13 teams. And all you talk about as a coach, Ravi, is we're going down there to win one game 4 times in a row. You don't try to comprehend. We have to know we're winning one game 4 times in a row.
Mentioned the Big East with the loss of Connor Gillespie, a team that is on the come, and Hurley just got a contract extension. UConn, Jimmy, winning today over Georgetown 79-60, and they got a bunch of pieces as that shot is up and good from Brooks. A chance to watch Bouknight. James Bouknight is going to be playing at the next level, 18 today. That's another one of those teams come tournament time, as we've seen with the likes of the Ray Allens and the Kemba Walkers of the world. They make noise when you don't really think they're capable of doing it. This is another one of those groups.
Well, to your point, every year we have a dude that can carry his own team.
Yeah.
And that's what Bouknight can do. And those teams are so dangerous, man. And, you know, who can do that next week in the SEC tournament? You look at Alabama, and Hetty can get rolling. Shackelford's a hard guard. In Arkansas, they're so balanced and disciplined in their scoring, how they're playing the game with such an unselfish style right now.
Bryant, who was at the free throw line. Really frustrating foul for Keon Brooks. He clearly went over with no intention of fouling, and his arms came down on Bryant, and he was given the foul. So Bryant, free throw shooting.
Carl, I've been impressed today with Kentucky, how hard they have cut in this game. And that's another reason why they have a high assist rate. They're making shots. They have really played with speed on the offensive end.
B.J. Boston's confidence, too, Jimmy, has got to be something that they are going to be delighted with. The fact that he's knocking down threes and having his best point production in a long time, 21 now in the game.
Yeah. Another moving screen by Isaiah Jackson. That should not be happening, Ravi, this late in the year. You run your 2 or 3 circle play time and time again. Shooter running off those baseline screens. Just get yourself set. It's the job of the shooter. It's the job of the shooter to get himself open, not that screener to be moving.
The question's going to be, what does Kentucky do with a game like this? Another foul this time on Dante Allen. What does Kentucky do with a game like this? They're going to win this going away. It's going to be their most dominant performance of the year as far as the scoreboard goes. What do they do with it moving forward? And how important, Jimmy, as we break down the brackets, are the matchups going to be? Usually, if you're the best team, the matchup doesn't really matter. But in this case, is there a matchup issue for Kentucky at some level?
I think it's all about Kentucky. It's all about Cal going into the locker room after this game and convincing his guys, we finally got it. We finally, whether they do or not, you convince your guys, we have found our groove today, and we have to continue this now in Nashville. They've played really well. I know South Carolina has been beaten down this year and only have 4 wins in conference play. Just go back and watch how Kentucky played this game, how the ball moved, how they guarded, how alert they were. This is just a selling point now for Calipari to his guys over the next 3 or 4 days.
Ware with the kick, and a rare sighting, but into the game for Kentucky. 21 is Cameron Fletcher. And this, of course, has been a year in which Fletcher was there and then gone, and now getting some time here down the stretch of this last regular season game for Kentucky. Again, the other part of this, you forget about, arguably the guy they thought was going to be as good an offensive player and a glue guy in Terrence Clark, who's been gone. They do not anticipate, barring a long run in the NCAA tournament, getting Terrence Clark back.
Yeah, that was a big loss because he did have the ability to go downhill. I wouldn't describe him as that breakdown guard that Kentucky's always had, but he was another guy as an athlete on the floor as Cameron Fletcher runs right down the middle and gets involved in the game offensively.
Now feel good. Boston battles on the glass, and it's Ware who comes away with it. It's going to be a feel-good win for Kentucky in the last game of this regular season. Yeah, look at the bench, too, loving what Cameron Fletcher just did there. It is all Wildcats today. Getting set for an SEC tournament by running the Gamecocks right out of Rupp Arena.
Oh,
exactly.
Ellis.
All right, guys, thank you. Yes, Digger Phelps and LaFonso Ellis call South Bend home. Back with Jimmy Dykes. Boston feeling it, but he misses that 3. And the drive, the foul on Ware.
Ravi, earlier this week, John Calipari and his wife donated $50,000 to the flood relief initiative going on in eastern Kentucky, and that's a part of the state. When I was an assistant coach in Kentucky, I went there to speak a couple of times. They bleed blue in the eastern part of Kentucky, and they produce some of the great all-time great players at Kentucky: Wawa Jones, Johnny Cox, Jerry Bird, Terry Mills, Richie Farmer, John Pelfrey, Reggie Hansen. But that part of the state has been devastated. It's a part of the state that very blue collar. They struggle to just sometimes go paycheck to paycheck. There are towns in that part of Kentucky that have been completely wiped out and underwater. So once again, Coach Cal, understanding the platform he has as the head coach, steps up. And if you're available to help that relief fund there in Kentucky, that's a part of the state. I've been there. I know how much they could use any support you can give.
As he told us, and so did their PR department. Ellen is so influential in John's life, his wife Ellen, and what John does for that state. Rex Chapman, another local super high school phenom out of Kentucky. A $50,000 donation, as he said. So we're dealing with COVID, we're dealing with unemployment, now we're dealing with a flood. So they stepped up. The old entire Kentucky program, oftentimes one of the big edicts from Cal is to get involved philanthropy-wise with the community. He does that on a year-to-year basis. He did it by himself this year, given COVID and the kids' inability to participate too much, but $50,000 is great. Wrapping this one up with 3 to go. Kentucky all over South Carolina. And again, a well-rounded performance for the Wildcats. You'd like to think, Jimmy, like just what the doctor ordered as far as going into the tournament. The question's going to be the ability to carry it over and make sure this is sustainable if possible.
Well, Ravi, look at the balance and the point production out of Boston today, and the percentages. I mean, this is a team that shot lights out. Kentucky's not going to go down there next week and shoot 13 for 25 from the three-point line 4 days in a row. But to your point, you could not have a better 2 hours than what John Calipari has now heading into Nashville. And I thought their postseason hope started today in terms of how are you going to play, how are you going to feel after this game? Do you have any real confidence about who you are as a team? I think Kentucky got a big dose of that today in their system.
See, just by the uniform numbers, you don't generally see them on the floor for Kentucky as he clears his bench in the last regular season game, some at Rupp Arena, where the bench would go nuts usually when somebody who doesn't generally get a chance to play. You see all the Wildcats standing up in the background, hoping that that can happen.
They're hoping for Riley Welch, who has not taken a shot so far in conference play, number 13. He's only played 3 minutes on the year. He's gotten in 1 game. Right. This is Riley's chance right here. You got to call for the ball, and if you get it covered or not, you got to let that thing fly.
Let it go. Right? I'll tell you, Allen wasn't hesitant. He went in, he came in and fired again.
At this point, it's okay to go steal the ball from your own teammate. Like, play defense on the guy, steal it, and then go shoot it. There are no rules right now for Riley Welch on this floor.
Welch is out of Colorado. He said he couldn't describe how excited he was to be joining the greatest program in the history of college basketball. And we'll see if he can knock one down. UFC tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time. One of the highlights, of course, of our year this year was the great Jimmy Dykes deciding to go shirtless and imitate a UFC fighter. Stacked card, 3 titles on the line, and it's Israel Adesanya taking on Jan Blachowicz. Light heavyweight battle, main event, 10 Eastern on pay-per-view. I got to put the promo down because Welch had the ball and he dished it off. All right, and back to that. So the prelims start at 8 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and ESPN Deportes. Say this about 13 and White. He's having a good time out there. I know that. You can see that.
How could you not, man? You're in Rupp Arena. Coach puts you in with 2 minutes to go. You've got to handle the rock a little bit. The whole country is watching right now to see if 13 and White can get one off.
Welch and Brennan Canada, who's also on the floor, have not scored a point this season. We got a chance for a 3-point play here for South Carolina. You coached. How important are those guys, Jimmy? Because we never really get a chance to talk about them.
Ravi, they're huge. I mean, that was my role for a couple of years at Arkansas when I was over there for Eddie Sutton, my freshman and sophomore year. And you know, you just fight it, man, with all you got to keep your uniform on and try to help guys get better and push them in practice and one-on-one drills. And you finally get in a game. And the part I'm enjoying the most is the guys on the bench right now,
right,
that have great appreciation for these guys, the starters. And you got to kick this ball back to now you got 4 guys on the floor that need to shoot one. Right?
Zan Payne is number 20. Brennan Canada, we just saw, and that's the perma smile on the face of Riley Welch. You know, it's a permanent smile.
This has turned into shirts and skins in the summer with nothing on the line. Shoot this ball right now. Shoot it. You're open now. Too unselfish.
Payne, kick it out, and he's doing what you should do, Jimmy. There you go. Bench goes nuts.
This is summer basketball camp, is what it is. 7th game of the night, and just
Canada lost it out of bounds, kept it alive. Jason Benetti and Robbie Hummel will have our next game. Just in the last 30 seconds, we want to thank everybody involved with the SEC this season on ESPN, the SEC network, as well as what we saw on ESPN on Super Tuesday. Just to give you an idea of the challenges that these teams have faced, we've talked about, but what ESPN has faced. Over 220 games have been canceled due to COVID. And on our linear networks, the SEC network and ESPN and ESPN2, They have produced over 1,200 games. Today was a great example of the technology and the challenges it presents. At one point, we lost Jimmy's audio. At another point, we lost the entire Zoom feed. But we wrap it up with Kentucky getting a win and looking forward to brighter days ahead. Certainly this season and for seasons to come. The guy Welch didn't want to take the layup there, Jimmy. He just dribbled it out.
Team player. Still smiling, though, Riley. Well, still smiling. He'll be smiling next week in Nashville when we see him.
He sure will. And again, thanks to everybody who's been involved with college basketball this year under the circumstances that everybody dealt with in their own lives. We did as well, and the people you never see deserve all the accolades in the world. You talk about a Herculean effort, Jimmy. As you found out today and were reminded of, it is incredible how many people you don't see that are behind the scenes making this work.
Yeah, Ravi, it's been a challenging year. You know, a year ago next week, we were standing there in Bridgestone Arena when the world kind of got shut down. There's been a lot of hurt, a lot of loss in our country over the last 360 days, and there'll be a celebration next week. But I think we shall be very grateful and feel like it's a blessing to be heading to Nashville next week. I know I do.
Kentucky, look for them in the 8-9 game. That's Thursday afternoon, but it all starts Wednesday night, the SEC tournament. Our producer today, Greg Pike. Our director, Danny McFan. Again, to the people you don't see. For Jimmy Dykes, my good friend, looking forward to the tournament. I'm Carl Ravitch, Jason Benetti, and Robbie Hummel. We hand it off to you. Kentucky a winner, 92-64.